Well, good morning, everybody. How are y'all doing today? Good, good. I'm good. Well, my name is TJ Williams. Like he said, I'm 23 years old. Born and raised in Natchitoches, Louisiana. Um, don't tell nobody that. But I am a freshly alumni of NSU. I just graduated in December of 2023. Got my communications degree, and my concentration was in broadcast. My minor was in English. Yeah, it's so crazy to me because I was just in these chairs, and honestly, when Dr. Taylor came and asked me to come, I was like, I don't know. I thought I would have a little more accomplishments, a little more greatness, before I came back to university. And, he told me, he was like, if you were 30 and making a podcast, working in Walgreens, I'd be like, okay, you don't need to come back. But I'm 23. I'm making a podcast. I just graduated under a year ago. So it's like, have a little grace with myself. So graduation, it came. And let me tell y'all, when graduation comes, it comes. And when it's gone, it's gone. Honestly, I wish I could come back and do the whole school thing again. Not really getting up for class or nothing like that. But, it just kind of makes you wonder, when you've been doing school for so many years, it's like, okay, when school is over, who else am I after school? So graduation came, and I kind of had my plan already set up and everything. I knew what I was going to do, where I was going to live, the jobs I was going to apply to. It didn't go that way. And my next thing I'm going to say is make sure you have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. I know that sounds cliche. A lot of people say that, but you just never know what's going to happen, what's going to fail, and, what's not going to go through. So I had my plan, and I told myself I was going to apply to this specific job. I was going to move by summertime. Just gave myself a whole bunch of deadlines. And I feel like coming up with deadlines is good, but also it's a little bad whenever you don't make the deadline. It's like, okay, you start to get a little discouraged. And I did. I got a little discouraged and everything. But the plan, it didn't go through. And I'm a true believer in Christ. Y'all might hear me say that a couple times. That believer in Christ, Baptist, church, stomp your feet. That's me. And that's the only reason why I feel like I got out of that season that I was in of discouragement. So like I said, the plan didn't go through. It left me kind of wondering, okay, what else am I going to do? And the plan not going through, it wasn't that it couldn't have went through in other ways, but I'm going to be honest, I'm a believer in passion. And I feel like if there's no passion behind it, then you shouldn't be doing it. So my original plan that I had, I thought I would have had the passion for it, but whenever it came about, it just wasn't there for me. And I didn't want to force anything. I didn't want to push anything. So that's why the plan didn't go through. But like I said, it left a big question mark for me, not really knowing what to do next and everything. And so I was at work one day, and it's so crazy. A lot of people have been telling me to start a podcast, but, that's kind of like everybody has a podcast nowadays. And you're like, okay, everybody has a podcast. Who's going to want to hear me talk? What am I going to talk about, I was at work one day, and my coworker was telling me, I was just letting him know, like, how discouraged I'd been and everything. And he was just saying, man, why don't you start a podcast? And I'm like, oh, my God, it's like the fifth, sixth person that told me that, and I think because of the season I was in, I was like, why not at this point? And so he was telling me, we were bouncing back ideas and everything. And so I ended up telling him, I'm going to just wait till I move. Then I'll start the podcast. He was like, here you go, coming up with excuses again. And I will tell you, excuses is just more for delay. That's just, more reasons to push things back. And so he told me, he was like, why don't you start it now with your city? You're from here, have your support system here, and whenever you move, you can elevate it. I was like, you know what, man, that's actually a pretty good idea. It really is. And so my podcast was born. It's called We're the New Adults. And, I feel like what a better name than We're the New Adults, because I'm a new adult. I just graduated. I'm just trying to figure out this thing called life, going through the motions. And the podcast is basically a guidebook to let other people, students, freshly graduates, new adults, have a guidebook to just getting through this thing called life. I feel like it's definitely different in our generation than it's ever been, being a new adult. But yeah, so that's what the podcast is about. I started June 1st. We are in the month of September, and I'm on episode 13. Gotta give myself a little pound of that. Consistency is pretty much key when it comes to podcasting. Thank you. I feel like if you're not consistent, then, you're prone to fail. And consistency, to me, automatically brings in results. So that's what I've been really trying to focus on, is being consistent. No matter how many people are watching, I have been on the social media journey a while. I started when I was 17, making content, things like that. And I've had a couple of rebranding moments throughout my social media journey. So with this podcast, I was like, you know what? if I start at zero, at least I'll know the people that are starting from zero are the people that are supporting me now in this era that I'm in right now. So yes, that's where I'm at. I have 200 listeners. I'm very proud of those 200 listeners. I really just want to let y'all know that, like I said, when graduation comes, it comes. But while y'all are in these seats right now and in the season that y'all are in right now, take advantage. I feel like I waited to the last minute. Dr. Taylor, he said earlier, he had been begging me to join NSU TV, begging me. I came like one meeting every 4 or 5 months. And it got to my senior year, and I was like, ooh, Lord, like, graduation about to come up. I want to get these jobs, and I have no experience. And that's one thing I would tell y'all. These jobs want experience. Like, they're like, I don't care if you were in college. What were you doing in college? What experience were you getting while you were in college? And that's a lesson I had to learn. I got way more denied letters than interview letters whenever I graduated. And I feel like I had enough, experience. I had a great internship over the summer and everything, but still just wasn't enough for them. Just take advantage. It's okay to focus on whatever your skill is, whatever your specialty is, but this department does a good job of, like, having different outlets, photography, video, audio, all of that stuff. And it's okay to focus on one thing, but make sure you're, like, getting all the information you can from everything. Because if you would have asked me before graduation, would I have a podcast, I would have said no. And I'm, like I said, I'm a video person, I'm an audio person, but I just had, that one plan. But thank God, he was able to, redirect me, and here I am with the podcast, and it's going pretty well if I do say so myself. That's pretty much about it. Okay.
All right. So, what was the most challenging thing about launching your podcast? How did you come up with the topics or guests for each episode of your podcast? And who would you like to get on your podcast, celebrity-wise?
Ooh, Jesus. So I'm gonna answer number one. The challenging part is starting it. I feel like I said, there's a lot of excuses you can give yourself. Like I said, it's more so like, oh, everybody has a podcast. Who's going to want to listen to me? But I had to realize, like, everyone is one of one. You're the only person like you. You're the only person that's going to have the opinions that you have and the way that you're going to tell it. So I would say definitely starting it and just getting past those negative thoughts, all that stuff. That's the most challenging part, and consistency. I did a good job pre-recording my episodes for a good bit, but then they caught up with me, and I was like, Lord, okay, like, let me get back to filming, let me get back to editing. So definitely, like I said, starting, the consistency, and then your second question was how to come up with the topics. That's a good question. So honestly, it's so crazy. So like I said, I go to church or whatever, and so when the pastor preaches, like, I go pretty much every Sunday. And so, like, my episodes are weekly, so if the pastor is giving me, like, a word, I don't necessarily, like, copy whatever he's saying, but, like, if I took something from that, that's most of the time what I go based off by. And also my life experiences. Like, I try to be very current in what I'm going through right now as a new adult, and that's, how I come up with those topics. Celebrity, Lord have mercy. I haven't even thought that big. Dr. Taylor, yes, of course. He'd be my first celebrity on there. But honestly, what celebrities do I even like? Let's see. I don't want to say Oprah, but Oprah would be great. Like, I feel like for publicity, like for her to come on and be like co-host with me, that would be amazing.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. You're right, and that's what I try to tell myself. Like, even with starting, like, I just see so much ahead of me in this podcast future. So thank you for saying that. Thank you.
How long did it take you to get comfortable, in front of the camera and comfortable making your episodes?
I will say, because you can watch episode 1 to 13 now, and you can see a difference whenever I started versus where I am now. I would say about episode 5, because when you're doing it, it's like you're telling people, oh, I have a podcast, but you really don't believe, like, you have a podcast. It's more so like going through the motions. I'm recording, editing, doing all that stuff, but it still doesn't really feel like you have a podcast. But when people start coming to me, like, I work at Walgreens, people will come through the line like, oh, man, I saw that episode. I'm like, do I know you? Like, so I'm like, okay, like, this is actually reaching people. And it just made me more serious about it. It made me like, okay, like, I actually do have a podcast. So I would say the confidence of, like, feeling support from around me made me more comfortable in front of the camera, So.
This question might sound harsh.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you think is the reason you have 200 followers?
I think low-key, like I said, I'm from here, and I appreciate my coworker for saying for me to start it now because I do have a huge support system here. Like, I really do. I do have a good following on social media as well, and, like, that following, like I said, is through me doing other social media things. So I think with me choosing this new route, there were some people, those 200 people or whoever that came from over there to support me on this new journey. But a lot of people not supporting the journey because like my ratio from followers I have to the podcast, you would think it'd be a little bigger. But like I said, this is a new journey, so I don't expect, the people that were my old supporters to be coming on to this, new stuff. So. Yeah.
Why don't we just watch the video?
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Cut off questions, but you might have questions after you watch our
She's like, ready and fine.
Okay, I'm coming. Matter of fact, we're the new adults. All skills I learned here at NSU, I have to say, yes. Well, yeah, that was that, guys. So, like I said, that was just a little promo to like let people know, like, oh, I'm coming out with a podcast, and so people liked it. So I think I did pretty good. So.
How straight up impossible was it to not run over that piece of paper?
It took a lot of shots. It took a lot of shots for the flower in the wind. Can we go into the flower in the wind? I'm very proud of that part because that took a lot. Like, it took a lot of editing. Like.
That was so annoying to film.
Mm-hmm. And my cousin, she was with me. She's like, "What are we doing?" I'm like, "Trust me, I have the vision. I have the vision." Okay, cool.
How high did you drop it? Where did you drop it?
I dropped that was the riverbank, so we were at the top, and like I was kind of like trying to, and so she kept throwing it, and like it wasn't going right. But
How much paper have you fed to the water?
a good 10 pages to the water. Get. Exactly. But that's another thing. Like, people may not trust your vision. They might not see what you have in your head, but you have to realize what you do have in your head. And, whenever you bring it to life, that's when people going to be like, oh, okay. But, it takes, having to prove it to people sometimes, So, any other questions? Go ahead.
Well, you said you started late in the game, like get involved.
Like,
if you had to advise for people who, like, not a freshman, but they want to get involved, but they haven't yet.
What, are you sophomore?
I'm a sophomore.
Okay, this guy right here, for one, is like the person to go to. And really, do you work a job on the side or anything? Okay, so I tell people all the time, like, that was probably my biggest hurdle with not being involved is because I worked full-time. Like, since I started college, I worked full-time on the side. So definitely just trying to make sure you take those off days, not working as much and everything, and just really getting involved. Like I said, going to him, going to like other students that you may get cool with, and like, oh, like what are y'all doing? Like, oh, when is the meeting? Are you like kind of a introvert or like?
I mean, no, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes, and it's okay. Yeah, like I was pretty much like an introvert when I first got here because I had my group of friends. Like I said, I'm from Natchitoches, so I already had like my friends outside of school. So like I really didn't try to make friends here. Like I didn't really try to be involved on campus, and everything. So just definitely try to, ask a neighbor or ask whoever, what are y'all doing and what else is going on, things like that. So that's the advice I can give you. Just speaking up a little more.
So you did everything alone, like editing or something?
Yes, and
So,
even.
like, how long did it take you? Like, do it take you to editing for one episode?
So filming it takes about 30 minutes. Setting up takes about 30 minutes because I have like the lights, everything like that. Filming takes about 30 minutes, and editing I would say an hour and a half. at the most, I feel like. And that's just because sometimes, you mess up, on camera, you say things you don't want to say. So editing, trying to make sure those are taken out. And I have kind of a template to all my episodes now. So at the beginning, it was taking me way longer to edit because I really didn't know what I wanted it to look like. But now that I'm on episode 13, I kind of know what I, want it to look like. So I would say about an hour and a half it takes. So full, what is that? 2.5 hours for the whole process. So. You talking about for like the episode?
Like when you look at it.
Okay.
Intro and then what do you do?
Yeah. So I have the intro, and then I have my welcome and everything. I have like my what do you call that? My name and stuff that comes up at the bottom, and yeah, and then lower third, yep, and then pretty much after that, it's just me talking and everything, and then the outro at the end. So.
Pre-plan on what you're gonna do, like have bullet points.
So I started off that way, and then as I've gotten to these later episodes, it's really just been like from the heart, and like which is a good and bad thing. I feel like it's good to have bullet points, but sometimes I find myself getting focused on the bullet points, and yeah.
Well, I see you got some of your equipment here. So what is your
Oh,
equipment?
yes.
And what software do you use to record
Yes.
the edits?
Bunch of numbers, bunch of letters.
LOL. So no, that's why I brung it also just to show y'all. I had no clue how to start a podcast, and the YouTube videos, how to start a podcast, they work. That's what y'all should go to. And so this is the Zoom control. This is my audio board, my sound board. I haven't really just learned the ins and outs because you can like add little sounds and everything to it, but I just do the basics. Basically, it comes with just the control, and then I had to order my microphone, which was a little under $100. It really just, you have to invest in yourself. I didn't want to tell you how much I spent on just all this stuff. Like I said, if you have the equipment now, use it, please. Oh, okay. Which brand do you have?
I think it's
Okay. I don't even. Yeah, and this one's a little under 100. And this one sounds good as well. And they have like their preferences and like everything like that. But the Zoom control, I would say this was around $80, $75, $80. I would say like $90 after tax for the microphone. Camera, Lord have mercy, Jesus.
I know that was a good amount.
It was like $800 for that camera, that small camera. Yeah, I know.
What Sony is it?
It's a ZV-1F. And so I had a visual of what I wanted it to be and what it to look like, and it kind of gives that, not really. But my mom, she was like, she wanted me to start doing it on my phone originally. I'm like, Mama, no, I don't want to do it on my phone. So I started with that, and she was just telling me still, like, you can elevate, So that's what I started with. Like I said, it was $800. It wasn't cheap. But my next one, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to pay a little more. Yeah. So all in all, that's a good, pretty penny. And I'm trying to save to move. So it was a huge investment I had to make. But when you're chasing your dreams, following your dreams, sometimes you got to. Exactly. I feel like, honestly, like people may not believe in you at the beginning, but like whenever you finally start giving them results, then they'll be like, oh yeah, I knew him back when.
Yeah,
No, you didn't.
I believed in you from the start.
No, you didn't.
Where were you?
Where were
Where were
you?
you on episode 1 or 2?
Hello, you didn't watch the episode. I'm not about to.
When I was buying the gear.
That part.
Subscribe to you.
Oh, thank you so much, y'all. Like I said, we're the new adults on YouTube and Instagram, so if y'all want to tune into that. I try to do every week. Sometimes I'm a little behind, week and a half, but I try to keep it consistent. So, yeah.
I definitely will go watch some of them to support. I am a big supporter. I support people. I always support. So.